We've spent the last 3 years developing this facility, and I view it as a once in a lifetime.
We felt that rather than having a typical building, which we coined a phrase, the turtle, we wanted a more dynamic form that lifted and raised itself out of the ground, and we coined the phrase the cheetah. So we had the turtle versus the cheetah, and Hellmann definitely wanted to be the cheetah in this location. We've got the local lava fields, obviously, with the folded form. We've got the heritage, which is the wharenui and the entrance into the building with the really nice, chunky, thick fascias. And then we've got the industrial heritage of the airport. So there's obviously the folded wing for the aeroplanes. Rather than having a cool store, a warehouse and an office, we joined it all into one facility.
This is a roof, and that's a wall, the way the building code sees it. So when you do a wall like that, you get stranded between the details for a roof and a wall. And then you complicate that by sticking windows on a slope. Trying to get some sensible space planning around a shape which was quite long and bent around the corner and quite thin, while trying to leave the front facade uncluttered.
I've never had a client look at me in the eye and say, I don't want to make any dumb decisions, we've got to do this right.
We had level differences around the roadways. We had proximity to boundaries. We had noise from the road. We had climatic conditions in terms of wind and sun. We had the offices on the south side.
It's quite leading edge from the architecture to the services and the contents as well. So there was an awful lot going on, and having the cool store integrated into the project as well added a new layer of complexity. The scope for error is huge.
We're building the project while parts of it are still being designed, and so it's that integration and needing to think quickly and look ahead. The steel in the roof was interesting in the fact that we had designed it a certain way. Hellmann then engaged a consultant to design the cold store, which to make the cold store efficient, they elected to do the structure in a slightly different way. There was a lot of complexity in the floor because of the need to have underfloor heating, insulation, a durable wear slab.
So we've got polystyrenes that burn very well in a freezer that sits at minus 28 degrees where water freezes, so we can't put water into it. We have aerosols that explode in a fire and create multiple fire bases. We have high racks that are stored full with product that will burn very well. A ceiling had to be installed at 13.7 metres throughout about 80 to 85% of the warehouse. You've got skylights that we were blocking with a ceiling, so we had to then put skylights in the ceiling as well. So it was a case of taking a standard and then fitting that building within the standard, but at times having to think outside the square.
Trying, in a sense, to put a square peg in a round hole because you've got a crazy design, but you've got a functional industrial facility. You then have to pull out all the stops in terms of constantly negotiating and getting parties to agree to compromise. The works around the cold store slowed down at one stage to make sure that we've got a 15-year plus lease for the tenant.
And that's probably the most enjoyable part about this whole process, is actually working with all the different trades.
There wouldn't have been a single contractor here that I wouldn't want to work with again. A sensor was put in every room. There's sensors in the ceiling space, so that if ammonia did escape anywhere, first of all we know about it, we can warn the people, and we can shut the plant down to minimise the amount of leakage.
The fire protection is a high-end system. They don't get better than what is in this building. One sprinkler head activates, more water comes out of one sprinkler than out of a fire hose that a fireman will use. The building will never burn down, but most importantly, the staff that work in here and any visitors that come here will be safe. People do not die in fire sprinkler buildings.
You know, somebody arrives at the reception, they're looking down and they're seeing the guys actually there in the marketplace or the cafeteria enjoying themselves. So it does bring that integration of the visitor, the client, into the business.
For us, that CAF and the void and the foyer are really the forum You know, that's the town centre. You don't get global heads coming to the arse end of the world and getting personally involved in projects. So I think the Hellmann family are really endearing a culture. It's a very green building. It's got a lot of powder-coated steel.
I think the sustainability objectives were achieved by us providing a lean and efficient integrated design. So it gave a low maintenance, durable product.
One aspect of the whole project which we've thoroughly enjoyed is being environmentally conscious around the construction of the building. Energy efficiency was at the forefront of our strategy. We researched to ensure that we were able to get the best product and the best equipment at the time that had the lowest running cost. So the GEA compressors are really energy efficient, minimal running costs and minimal moving parts within the machine. So it makes it nice and easy for us to maintain. A normal refrigeration plant would require lots of water for cooling the refrigerant. This plant has a large air-cooled condenser that requires no water. And on top of that, the plant has EC fans.
The use of ammonia in the refrigeration really was a no-brainer. It's a very, very efficient refrigerant, very old, established, and has a global warming potential of virtually zero. So all the control systems are fully electronic and able to be accessed remotely. Things like variable speed drives fitted to just about anything that operates so that it doesn't have to always run at full speed. Anything that could be done to make it smart and efficient and to take care of the plant has been done.
The advances in LED lighting, which has been integrated into the cold store, they had a high spec for lighting in the warehouse, which we were able to work with and integrate in lighting control. So we had an energy efficient system to start with, but then added in daylight harvesting as well.
Hellmann were interested in bringing solar panels on board and had a supplier that they were in discussions with, and I think there's still the possibility that could come downstream.
There's very little water required instead of firemen with big hoses. There's very little smoke that's going to pollute the atmosphere because we got rid of that fire before there was, and there's very little waste of burnt products because there's very little burnt product because the sprinkler system activated and got rid of it. So the green aspect of it's huge.
Huge amount of work was put into minimising the potential risks, from a scrubber in the plant room to pick up the ammonia if it escapes in the plant room, a great big tank that if ammonia is released through one of the pressure relief valves, then it's all absorbed into a big water tank. Early on, a concept came up to put in a third compressor called a swing compressor, which can back up either of the other two.
If you do have a fire incident, you will be in business the next day. You're not going to be out for 6-12 months. That's absolutely critical.
Any product which is open, like vegetables for example, many cool stores you put them in, then the humidity is quite low, so they lose a lot of moisture and they wilt and they lose weight and stuff like that. Now we went to the trouble on one of the stores in this facility to actually design it so that we can control the humidity and take it up to quite a high level to give optimum protection for the product. And I think as clients come to understand the importance of that, then they'll come to appreciate the fact that it's done here. But it's been really surprising for me that not more product producers actually even understand the issue, so they don't know to ask for it. But as it gets known, then I think it'll become really important.
Whether it's been a -30 freezer room for low temperature product or a pharmaceutical room that requires real close control, we'll spend a lot of time in the design and working through with the customer to ensure that the right temperature is met for the right product requirements, and that can be everything from a strawberry right through to a fish.
Fans can be set up inside the rooms to cool product more quickly. No stone was left unturned, I would say, in minimising any potential negative effects.
Hellmann is a much more efficient business. They will have lower OPEX costs themselves. The fantastic building visually, and the services are well integrated inside, and I think that customers will see that this is a pretty organised company, and that will reflect in the operations, and I think people will be impressed.
I think it's pretty obvious that Hellmann have made a design statement with this building.
They're seen as someone who is who's got some guts. You know, these people have got balls. They're going out there. They're going to take on this type of challenge.
Industrial buildings are characterised by a big box with a little box in front that becomes the office. This building has turned that round, and I think it will become a landmark.
In my opinion, because we work on so many buildings and many Green Star rated buildings, this building here is up with the best.
A leading world-class facility.
They can cut it out again and redo it again, that's for sure.
You get a little bit nervous when you're about to put a turtle and a cheetah on a table, but it went down well.
Chris originally asked me to come and look at a couple of refrigeration tenders that he had and give advice or recommendations on which one to choose. And it was just like a whirlpool. You got sucked in after that.
I think we're both pig-headed, but it's always good fun because you've explored the boundaries. If you sit there and be nice, you're really not going to pull out those last crumbs in the bottom of the bowl, are you? You're just going to leave them there. And all because the personalities came out to play, you know, and leave the nice stuff out at the reception desk.
No, well, it changed 4 times, and each time was a significant engineering solution. In the same breath, they were pretty hard to satisfy.
Probably the funniest thing that came out of this project was Chris's eyes lighting up when he realised that he's getting a sprinklered building and he's coming from a non-sprinklered building, and the penny dropped. You could actually almost hear it go clang.
I don't think that was a humorous operation, was it? That was a, what? What are you doing? Yeah. We were trying to design the building and get it in for consent and get it, built while Chris was still deciding how big he was going to make it and how many people he was going to have and who was in fact going to design it for him.
Chris has gone through 3 of my staff, I'm the last man standing. I've learned a bit about myself. I've learned quite a bit about Chris, and I think I've also felt part of the Hellmann family,
Chris would be a great one for going out of the bloody meetings and coming back with a bloody file like this and sort of saying to the airport reps, you said on such and such a date here, get me that other file, here it is here. Remember that? You still got those files?
I've never heard an architect say so much as Morris, but that's about it.
Well, if I want to look back and have one gripe, it's the shitty fees you paid us for all the bloody work we did, Chris.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't change anything.